Hello friends, I'm Pankaj Sharma and I'm back with another series. This time I'm taking up the current and upcoming topic of ESG, environment, social and governance. Like earlier, this series is also going to be split into various modules and it will be put up in such a manner so as to be convenient for the audience to understand the basic concept of ESG and its importance for dairy industry in an easy manner at their pace. Friends, over the past few years, environmental and social risks have dominated the overall risk landscape across the world. In the Global Risk Report, published by World Economic Forum in 2022, out of 10 most severe predicted risks, 8 belong to either environmental risk, for example, biodiversity loss, or climate natural resource loss, or societal issues like social cohesion erosion or livelihood crisis. These risks have the capacity to create and exacerbate huge market instabilities. Climate change, for example, may forever alter agricultural, manufacturing, trade, transportation, energy, or economic norms. This can then trigger unpredictable human misery and societal changes, like human migration, geopolitical frictions across the world, or pandemics like we experienced some 2 years back that may force transformation in how the business is carried out in various spheres of life. These are systemic risks that can affect every kind of business on the planet. However, it has been observed that most of the companies do not treat the environmental and social risk with the same urgency and attention the way they treat the traditional risk. In order to ensure that environmental and social risks are effectively taken care of, the best way would be to integrate these risks along with the enterprise risk management process in a company. Friends, you may be aware that I have created another comprehensive 5 module series on enterprise risk management, which was which was uploaded on my YouTube channel at the rate Pankaj CRO 2022, which received very good response from professional colleagues and student community. And enthused by that, I decided to create another series on ESG, that is environment, social and governance. Like I said earlier, this series is also going to be split into 4 to 5 modules, part 1 of which is going to be launched now. The basic objective of this series is to create awareness about ESG, which is a very important topic, and its impact and benefits for the dairy industry. With this, let us move on to the main presentation. In case you like my presentation and find it useful and interesting, please do not forget to like it and subscribe to my channel so as to continue getting updates about my future offerings. Thanks a lot and happy viewing. To be future ready, an organization needs to ensure that it builds resilience and stakeholder confidence through its actions. With awareness and concern about the impact of climate change, sustainable exploitation of natural resources, and seriousness about safeguarding the interests of various stakeholders in today's times, it is imperative that apart from building strong commercial foundations, organizations also focus on establishing frameworks that comprise of a strong corporate governance structure, sustainable procurement, diversity and inclusion, supporting local communities, and being conscious of future resource consumption. It is in this context that ESG is fast gaining importance in the corporate world. Now, what is ESG? ESG is a framework that helps the stakeholders understand how an organization is managing risks and opportunities related to environmental, social, and governance criteria. It is an acronym for environment, social, and governance. In the subsequent slides, we will see the details. Now, environment includes organizations' contribution to direct and indirect greenhouse gas emissions and the actions taken by it to mitigate them. Organizations take on various natural resources like air, soil, water, including natural water resources, forest cover, flora and fauna, etc., impact of its actions on them, and the initiatives taken by the organization to conserve and restore the damaged resources. It also looks at how resilient is the organization towards physical climate risk like climate change, floods, droughts, fires, and extreme weather conditions, etc., and how it deals with them. Social would mean organizations' relationship and interaction with stakeholders, namely the community in which they operate, the employees with respect to fair wages, employee engagement and welfare, channel partners meaning suppliers and distributors and retailers, various service providers like transporters, warehouses, third-party manufacturers, financiers, security agencies, etc., and finally the consumers. Governance means how are the leadership, that is management, board members, etc., their incentives are aligned with the stakeholders' interests, and if there are any conflict of interest, then how these are being handled. How are shareholders' rights viewed and honored and protected in the organization? And what type of internal controls and systems exist so as to ensure transparency and accountability by the leadership in operations? Now let us look at how ESG has evolved over the years. It started with environment, health and safety. With advancement of economic pursuit and growth in business activities, a large number of organizations started having a critical look at how their business was impacting the surrounding environment and the health and safety of their employees. By 1980s, this had become a major intervention by the organizations, aided by relevant regulations by the authorities. However, still, there was a lot to be done in this regard. In 1990s, EHS gradually started evolving into a more refined form of intervention as a number of organizations began to take voluntary actions to moderate the environmental impact of their business beyond what was mandatorily needed as per the laws, as they realized that a sustainable environment will help the business grow and prosper in the long run. While a number of good corporates were doing a serious job about it, the widely held view was that many others were using this as a marketing tool to project their image as a serious corporate citizen and earn a few brownie points. This came to be known as greenwashing. This later on got upgraded to another form of corporate intervention in early 2000s, popularly known as corporate social responsibility (CSR). This was akin to some of the old and respectable corporates like Tata's, Birla's, Bajaj, etc., giving away part of their wealth back to the society in the form of religious, educational, and vocational trusts, working for the benefit of the societies where these organizations were operating. A number of organizations also encouraged their employees to offer voluntary service for a few days to work in the nearby localities on some occasions as part of their social responsibility. Governments also provided incentives in the form of tax exemptions for such activities and subsequently came out with regulations for creation of CSR funds to nudge the cooperatives to do their bit for the society. Finally, by late 2010s, the concept evolved into ESG, with corporate governance getting added to the environmental and social responsibilities, and in 2020s, this has now become a proactive approach by a large number of organizations. ESG has now evolved into a comprehensive framework that includes key elements around environmental and social impact, as well as how governance structures can be amended to maximize stakeholders' There are many reasons why sustainability is important now. Sustainability has been growing for many decades, but the impetus was never enough for its wide scale adoption. Publicly traded companies must submit some form of ESG policies or CSR reports to the public, while mid sized and small businesses are free to do so on a voluntary basis. But the recent pandemic made us realize how fragile our systems are. It also revealed how vulnerable the supply chain is, and it also showed us the faces of the people who are in that chain and get disrupted. Then, incidents like multi-billion-dollar weather events and natural resource scarcity, exacerbated by geopolitical disputes like Russian invasion of Ukraine, exposed the potential threat to the global supply chain and created food insecurity across half of the globe. Moreover, Russia weaponized their oil supply to Europe as winter approached, and it quickly became evident that this was not sustainable. Specifically for India, let us see why ESG is gaining importance in India. India has rolled out a clean energy transition pathway from now through 2030 and has pledged to achieve net zero emission by 2070. So it is incumbent upon us to start taking ESG seriously. New age investors are now increasingly prioritizing sustainable investments. The size of ESG funds in India has grown, with assets under management increasing from 2,268 crore in March 2019 to INR 12,500 crore in March 2022. It has also been realized by the Indian corporates that in order to be a sustainable organization, it is essential to take such steps which make the organization climate impact proof, attractive to customers, consumers, investors, and protected from various kinds of vulnerabilities. This will ultimately ensure long term growth of the organization. Organizations can benefit greatly by implementing actionable ESG initiatives, setting realistic sustainability goals, and regularly assessing and monitoring their progress. Such assessments and tracking mechanisms prove to be beneficial to institutions in identifying successful long term investment opportunities, saving costs, optimizing risk, seeking capital inflow, and achieving their short term sustainability. While it is a very broad and general subject, ESG can impact many aspects of performance. ESG includes factors such as quality management, risk mitigation, and stakeholder relations, helping take better business decisions. By having a clear understanding and focus on sustainability, companies can identify risks that may not have been identified earlier, in turn, reducing the chances of failure or major losses. On the other hand, companies with better ESG practices will have increased access to capital and improved efficiency, leading to cost savings. With ESG becoming increasingly important in the market, companies that embrace these initiatives can meet competitive challenges, and ultimately this creates value for the organization as it is able to create long-term sustainability and resilience while meeting customers' expectations. The impacts of an organization's activities and business relationships on the company, environment, and people can have negative as well as positive consequences for the organization itself. These consequences of ESG practices can be operational or reputational, and therefore, in many cases, financial. For example, an organization's high use of non renewable energy contributes to climate change and could at the same time result in increased operating costs for the organization due to legislation that seeks to shift energy use towards renewable. Let us look at some of the major benefits of implementation of ESG. First one being saving costs. Using R&D to innovate sustainable products and processes results in cost-effective products and services. This results in efficient usage of energy and water resources, thus reducing the cost. Redesigning processes also further results in waste reduction. Even if not financially material at the time of reporting, most, if not all, of the impacts of an organization's activities and business relationship on the economy, environment, and people will eventually become financially material issues. Therefore, the impact are also important for those interested in organizations' financial performance and long-term success. Understanding these impacts is a necessary first step in determining related financially material issues for the organization. Implementation of ESG also gives a benefit of improved brand reputation. Companies that demonstrate commitment to ESG are seen as more ethical, reliable, and trustworthy in the eyes of customers, leading to better customer loyalty and a favorable reputation in the market. Let us look at Amul, an iconic brand not only made popular by the polka dot frog girl, but also because of the fact that it is owned by close to 4 million farmers, large part of which is made up of women, who are assiduously supported by the organization by providing them a regular and remunerative market for their milk at their doorstep. Amul brand is also made iconic by their mission of not only providing a remunerative market to millions of farmers but also ensure nutritional product like milk and milk products at a reasonable price to crores of consumers. This model has been replicated across the country, making this program arguably the largest commercial development rural development project in the world. Amul always puts a major emphasis on this fact in all their advertisements and promotions, which has made it one of the most popular and reputed brand in the country. Third benefit is attracting capital investments. New age as well as established investors are increasingly looking for companies with good ESG practices. In times to come, these factors are likely to be directly tied to financing and investments. Organizations with good ESG practices would therefore have a competitive advantage over others in attracting investments. Then, regulatory compliances are equally important. Governments across the globe are increasingly introducing new regulations, requiring companies to adhere to ESG standards and making it essential for the organizations to stay up to date on these standards. So it becomes beneficial for the organization to proactively implement ESG. While there is no single regulation that guides registered companies towards being ESG compliant, the Securities and Exchange Board of India (SEBI) has mandated the top 1,000 listed companies by market capitalization to include a business responsibility and sustainability reporting (BRSR) section in their annual reports starting from financial year 2022-23, which has just started. And last but not the least is better employee relationships. Companies with good ESG practices tend to attract talent, leading to better recruitment and retention rates as well as lower employee turnover costs. With this, we come to the end of Module 1 in the series on ESG and its importance to dairy industry. In the subsequent modules, we will focus on importance of ESG with specific emphasis on dairy industry. So please be on the lookout, and if you have found this module useful, please do remember to like it and also subscribe to my channel so as to continue getting notifications for my future offerings. Thank you.